One of the most insane things I have ever seen to this day is this idea of a kid who has been raised in a capitalistic society and has all the privileges of a capitalistic society, whining about capitalism and trying to usher in communism. Being on an iPhone 15 or 16, whatever the hell it is at this point, and tweeting about the ills of capitalism. That to me is severe mental illness. Severe. Everything in your life has been a byproduct of free trade, of a free market. Everything in your life. You were born into a world where you can literally go down the store to a place they call a grocery store, a convenience store, a damn liquor store, and you can pick up something to eat down the street. Now, why does that exist? I'm glad you asked. Because somebody realized that there was a need for food, and so they said, you know what? Let me meet that need. And why did they do that? Oh, well, because it was, it was just the altruistic thing to do. No, they did it because they knew that if they met that demand, they could make money. And that money would allow them to then trade for something else that they valued. And that's how this system works. You see, we need a basic economics class. I would recommend this guy, Thomas Sowell, right? A brilliant black economist. So for all y'all socialists who hate white people, Thomas Sowell is a black man, and he is an economist. Now, this book right here is Knowledge and Decisions, but get yourself a copy of just a few copies of Thomas Sowell's books just to get a foundation of economics without the racial weirdness in there, without the critical race theory and all this nonsense in it. Just pure basic economics so you know how this system works. Now, look, most of y'all, commies, socialists, whatever, the first thing y'all jump to is this thing of, well, you don't know what real socialism and real communism looks like. First of all, I was raised in a totalitarian country where we had a dictator for 26 years. Okay? That's what I was born into. And we moved away from that into this situation because of what that situation was. So you want to talk socialism and how beautiful it is from a vantage point of somebody who grew up in a capitalistic system and is living, breathing, eating, sleeping, and shitting out that system. That's who you are. You have never lived any period of time within a socialistic country. And if you did, then why are you here? If socialism was such a beautiful system, then why are you here in a capitalistic nation? I don't understand. If you're going to complain all day long about how terrible it is here, the system, then why remain here? I used to think that this statement was so racist. When somebody be like, I hate this country, it's like, well, go back to where you're from, or well, then leave. I used to think that was, so uncompassionate and sympathetic. But as a grown-ass man, I'm like, of course. If I don't want to be in a room, I'm getting out of the room. If I don't want to be at a certain restaurant, I'm going to another restaurant, or I'm going home to cook what I already, because I already bought the groceries, and I can damn near not waste that money out in a restaurant, and I'm finna go cook at the house. I can make a decision to change my location. It is really that simple. And so I realized this is a grift. It's an attention-seeking thing. It's to feel edgy. Oh, I'm a communist. Do you know what that? Do your research on Mao. Do your research on Lenin, because I bet you haven't. I bet all you've done is read these romanticized books by Marx, if even that you got from your Marxist professors who were truly just envious individuals who basically never got to fulfill their own dreams. And so they have anger and resentment in their heart. They have a hatred for a system that is literally paying for them to continue to perpetuate their propaganda, a system that allows them to spew this hatred openly because there is free speech in this nation, which would not exist in a communistic nation. This is ridiculous, y'all. It's the craziest contradiction I think I've heard to this point. And I hear some wild stuff on a daily basis. The type of content I put out, you could not imagine the types of conversations, responses, etc. And yet, this perpetuated idea of the beauty and the utopia of a communistic nation. Why has a communistic country not not lasted, not thrived? Like a genuinely communistic nation. Even China had to start picking up certain elements of capitalism in order to survive as a structure. The only way that they could not topple completely was by keeping some capitalism in the system, some level of free trade. Not so free. They're still keeping a leash on it, but they at least want a few people to become entrepreneurs, etc. And then they'll obviously take it over, right? But to have a completely disincentivized population, these words might be a little too big for those who are caught up in this mindset. So I'm going to make sure to just simplify this idea. If you do not have incentives, if you don't have a reason for people to do something, they're likely not going to do it. That's the genuine, God honest truth. If you don't have a reason for somebody to start a business, let's say you say, okay, we want our population to be entrepreneurial. We want them to create inventions, to start businesses, to hire people, etc., to build buildings, blah, blah, blah. If you don't have an incentive, which means they can't build up wealth, they can't build up equity, they can't build up any level of capital for themselves, then there's not going to be a capital incentive. So they're most likely not going to build the thing because there's no reason for them to do so. If the government is just going to take over whatever it is that they built out, communism is nothing more than the upper echelon, the small, tiny percentage of quote unquote leaders. The government has full control. That's what that system is. That's the reality of that system. And anybody who deviates from their own belief system, anybody who deviates from their own ideological ways, that person is going to be silenced or deleted from life. That's how those systems work. A capitalistic system, yes, a crony capitalism can become a very degenerate and dysfunctional system, of course. But a majority of this system works because a majority of the people work in fair trade. You don't want to believe that because you've been told that money is bad, rich people are bad, rich people are all evil, right? Because they continue to show you one image of what a person looks like who has money. They continue to show you the image of a crony capitalist. So you hate the very system you're in, so you tear it apart and they can have more control. If I was a dictator, I would definitely want my population to believe that money is evil and you should never aspire towards anything capitalist. Of course, you should never want anything beyond your little nook in the corner of the world. And to never grow, to never expand, to just be in your little section. You think it's going to be you having a beautiful farm and raising chickens and goats and trading goats for chickens. That's what you think it's going to be. You have another thing coming. Please do your own research. Social media is not research. You may have a starting point there, and there are some who are, powerful communicators who are going to get an entire message across to you, like on platforms like, long form content, etc. But you're not going to get it from a tweet or, whatever you would call that, a message on X. You're not going to get the entirety of something just right there. You might get the points, but it's best to do your own research. Go look at the academic papers. Go look at the actual history of what happened in these places or what's actually taking place. Go speak to the individuals who are from these countries. And the best thing you can do is to go to the country itself. If you believe the Venezuelan system of communism has been a success, then go to Venezuela. Please. I'm not even saying it to be funny with y'all. Go to the place. Go to Zimbabwe and just live out a week over there and see how the totalitarian system works. Because communism is a totalitarian system. And again, a capitalistic society can have social reform. That's what a lot of these European countries, we love to say they're socialist. They're not socialist countries. There are very few socialist countries within the EU. Very few. There is capitalistic incentives for people to continue to feed into the society, to feed into that economic machine. And in a lot of countries, people are paying mad taxes because of those social programs. The money isn't coming from thin air. It's coming from you. It has to come from somebody. And so that's why they topple. Those environments do not work. When you incentivize people to become wealthy, there will be some who become wealthy and some who don't. Some who are lazy as hell and ain't gonna do a damn thing. Some who are busy complaining and being a victim. And there are gonna be those who get off their behind and do something about it. Those who get out there and go hustle. Those who get out there and go get it. Those who do something about it, change their belief systems, and they change the way in which they move and they go out and get it. There are going to be those of us who turn on that record button and film the video and put it onto the world time and time again, continue to speak to the people. And those are going to complain about why they'll have an audience. And, it's so unfair that some people get to do what they love and other people, have to do blah, 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 or, don't have. No. This is a matter of choice and decision. And this free market that we have, that we enjoy, that we have the privileges of, because you can only appreciate something when you don't have it in many cases. I was born into something else, so it gives me a different vantage point. I can never fall into the communism stuff. Even when I was, liberal in some senses, when I was on the blackity black stuff, I still couldn't buy into the whole communist idea because I had come from a place where we had a dictator and we moved out of those environments. We literally skipped town, like everything we knew, everybody we loved, just so we can get out of that. My folks made it a priority that we would have a better life than whatever was being offered here. And there's multitudes of people across the planet who are looking to get into the United States for that very same reason. And yet we have the audacity to complain about the system of capitalism. Huh? If you are such a believer in communism, then I would highly suggest you click on my Cash App link down in the description below. I'm going to have a Cash App link at the very bottom. Click on that link and send me your money. Send me all of your money and rid yourself of all capitalism. Because money is capital. So send me all of your capital and you will be out of the game completely. And do it again in the next 2 weeks. If you have a job, you probably get a check every 2 weeks or whatever. Send me your check. Clear yourself. Rid yourself of all capitalism. Continue to rid yourself of all capitalism. Every 2 weeks, rid yourself of capitalism if that's how much you hate this system. So many of these kids have never paid taxes before who are touting this information. They've never had real jobs. They've never lived in the real world. And so they can continue to perpetuate these ideas. When you never had to pay a tax, you could be the greatest socialist ever. Until you pay that. They say most people start to shift more conservative the older they get because they start, obviously real life kicks in, but they also start to realize, damn, I don't want Uncle Sam taking all of my money. I want less of my money being taken for the work that I'm doing. I want a greater incentive to work. So that's my 2 cents, y'all. That's my rant for today. It's just ridiculous. It is ridiculous. And I know a lot of y'all who are still in this mindset, you have so many arguments and this and that, but none of it is rooted in reality. All of it is, even when you say it in an elaborate way and in an educating, seeming way, it still does not work. It does not work.
I used to be afraid of the dark, place unknown like a heart in their heart. I used to see my life in the bar. Now the kids unchained, every shackle is lost. 2 steps in the moonlight, 2 step in the daytime. You just know when it feel right. You got a feeling the time's not. See you through those shades that I just threw on. Through my lenses, you just can't do no wrong. I fell in love with myself again. I fell in love with myself. I fell in love with the sunshine. I fell in love with the light. I fell in love with the full moon. I fell in love with the night. I can see the light again. I can see the light. You can see the life in him illuminate the night. I know the time is taking. A 365, that's a